Amara's feet barely touched the ground as she stumbled through the door of her Lagos apartment. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. She had been awake since 3:30 that morning. Her first shift at the private hospital in Victoria Island started at 5 a.m., where she worked as a laboratory technician. From there, she rushed to her second job at a pharmaceutical company in Acadia, processing orders until 3 p.m. Then came her evening shift at a restaurant in Lekki, serving tables until 9:30 p.m. Her final job, cleaning offices in a high-rise building downtown, had just ended. Her body ached in ways she didn't know were possible. Her back throbbed from bending over microscopes and carrying heavy trays. Her feet burned in her worn-out shoes, the same pair she had been wearing for 8 months because she couldn't afford new ones. Her eyes stung from exhaustion and the harsh fluorescent lights she had worked under all day. But she was home. She could shower with the cold water. They hadn't paid the water heater bill in months. Eat whatever leftovers she could find, and sleep for maybe 3 hours before starting all over again. Then she heard his voice. Chitty's voice came through the bedroom door, loud and carefree, the way it used to sound when they were courting. Back when she thought he was hardworking and ambitious. Back when she believed in their future together. "I'm telling you, my brothers, I have found a secret to a good life," Chitty said, his voice booming with laughter. Amara could hear other male voices in the background. He had the phone on speaker. "She works 4 jobs, hospital, pharmacy, restaurant, and night cleaning. Every day, 7 days a week." The other voices erupted in laughter and disbelief. "And you? What do you do?" one of them asked. "Me? I manage," Chitty replied, and Amara could hear him taking a sip of something. Probably the expensive whiskey he bought while she drank tap water. "She thinks we're paying off debts together. She thinks we're a team. She thinks if she just works a little harder, everything will be fine." "Ah, Chitty, that's cold, man," another voice said, but he was laughing too. "Cold? No, my brother. That's wisdom. I made some bad bets, yes. Some business deals went wrong. Credit cards got a bit out of hand. But why should I suffer? I have a personal slave who thinks she's being a good wife." Amara's hand slipped from the doorknob. Her handbag fell from her shoulder and hit the floor with a soft thud, but the voices inside didn't notice. "What about that girl, Zainab?" someone asked. "The one with the boutique." "Oh, Zainab." Chitty's voice was warm with affection. "She doesn't know about any debt. She thinks I'm doing well. I take her to nice places, buy her nice things. She's fun, you know? Not exhausted and nagging all the time like Amara." "You're using Amara's money to date Zainab?" The voice sounded impressed. "Where else would I get it from? Amara works so hard. She doesn't even check the bank statements anymore. She just deposits her money and keeps going. I transfer what I need for my personal expenses. She thinks every naira goes to bills and debts. She's so tired she doesn't think straight anymore," another voice added. "Exactly. That's the beauty of it." Amara backed away from the door. Her legs felt like they would give out. Her chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a rope around her lungs and was pulling it tighter and tighter. For years, she had been killing herself. For years, since Chitty came to her with tears in his eyes, saying he had made mistakes, that he had gambling debts, that he needed her help just this once, that he would never let it happen again. She had believed him. She had loved him. She had promised, according to their vows, to stand by him in good times and bad. So she took on a second job, then a third, then a fourth. She wore the same 5 outfits, rotating them throughout the week. She cut her own hair because she couldn't afford a salon. She gave up her weekly visits to her mother in Ibadan because she couldn't afford the transport. She stopped attending her sister's Owambi parties because she had no money for aso-ebi. She ate rice and beans every day while Chitty ordered jollof rice and fried chicken from expensive restaurants. And he had been laughing at her, calling her his slave, using her money to date another woman. Amara found herself in the kitchen, staring at the sink full of dishes. Chitty's dishes. The ones she would wash before collapsing into bed because he never touched them. The ones that would be dirty again tomorrow because he would eat breakfast and lunch and dinner and leave everything for her to clean. Her hands started shaking, then her arms, then her whole body. She grabbed the edge of the counter. The laminate was cold under her fingers. She had picked this counter when they moved into this flat 5 years ago. She had been so happy then. She had thought they were building a life together. But Chitty had been building a prison. And she had been too in love, too trusting, too exhausted to see the bars. Everything in this flat she had paid for. The rent, the utilities, the furniture, the food, everything. Chitty's debts consumed every naira she earned. And, somehow, there were always more debts. More bills. More emergencies. Except they weren't emergencies. They were Zainab. Amara's phone buzzed. A text from the hospital asking if she could pick up an extra shift tomorrow during her off hours. They were short-staffed. She had already worked 28 days straight. No. The word formed in her mind like thunder. No. She wasn't going to do this anymore. She didn't know what she was going to do yet, but she knew with absolute certainty that she would never work another day to pay for Chitty's lies. Amara picked up her handbag from where it had fallen. She walked to the spare room, the one Chitty called his office. The room she never entered because he said he needed privacy for his business. Except he had no business. That was another lie. She opened the door and turned on the light. The room was a mess. Clothes everywhere, empty beer bottles, papers scattered across the desk. In the drawer, under a stack of old newspapers, she found credit card statements. Then another. Then another. The amounts made her dizzy. 2.5 million Nigerian nairas on this one. 3.8 million Nigerian nairas on that one. 1.2 million Nigerian nairas on another. And the charges were recent. Jewelry stores, hotels, restaurants she had never been to. Zainab. He was still spending. Still going deeper into debt. While she worked 4 jobs, he was making everything worse. Amara took photos of everything with her phone. Every statement, every receipt, every piece of evidence. Her hands were steady now. The exhaustion had burned away, replaced by something cold and focused. She had been asleep for 4 years. Now she was awake, and Chitty was going to regret the day he ever called her his slave. Amara didn't sleep that night. She lay in the spare room, staring at the ceiling, listening to Chitty stumble to the bathroom every hour. Each time, she heard him get back into their bed, the bed she would never sleep in again. At 3:30 a.m., her alarm went off. Time to get ready for the hospital shift. Amara looked at her phone. The email to the divorce lawyer sat in her drafts folder. She had written it at 1 a.m., deleted it, then written it again. Some part of her was afraid that sending it would make everything real. But already was real. Chitty had made it real when he called her his slave. She pressed send. Then she got dressed in her lab coat, tied her headscarf, and walked out of the flat. Chitty was snoring in the bedroom. He wouldn't wake up until noon. He never did. The Danfo ride to Victoria Island took 45 minutes in early morning traffic. Amara sat by the window, watching Lagos wake up. Street vendors setting up their stalls. Okada riders weaving through traffic. People rushing to work, to church, to wherever they needed to be. She worked as a laboratory technician, processing blood samples, running tests, talking to patients. It wasn't the career she had dreamed of. She had wanted to be a doctor. She had been in her 3rd year of medical school at the University of Lagos when she met Chitty. He had been charming, confident. He told her she was beautiful. He told her she was brilliant. He told her he wanted to build an empire with her. So when he asked her to take a break from school to help him start his import-export business, she said yes. Just for 2 years, he said. Just until the business got established. That was 7 years ago. The business never happened. Chitty always had an excuse. The suppliers were unreliable. The market crashed. His partner stole from him. Someone reported him to customs. Amara stopped asking after the 3rd year. By then, she was working full-time to support both of them. By then, Chitty had convinced her that her dreams could wait, that they needed to be practical, that she was being selfish for wanting to go back to school when they had responsibilities. But they didn't have responsibilities back then. The debts came later, after Chitty started gambling, after he started losing, after he came home with tears and promises. At the hospital, Amara's colleague, Ngozi, stopped by with tea. "You look terrible," Ngozi said, setting the cup on her desk. "Worse than usual." Amara tried to smile. "Thank you. That's very encouraging. I'm serious." Ngozi sat down. She was in her 50s, divorced with 3 children in university. You're gonna kill yourself with all these jobs. When last did you rest? I don't remember. March, maybe? Amara, it's November. I know what month it is. Ngozi leaned forward. Sister, I'm going to say this because I care about you. That man is not worth it. Whatever debt he got you into, it's not your responsibility. He's my husband. He's a grown man who should handle his own problems. Ngozi paused. Does he even work? Amara didn't answer. The truth was too shameful. No, Chitty didn't work. He hadn't worked in 4 years. He said he was looking for the right opportunity. He said he was too qualified for entry-level positions. He said he was networking. What he really did was sleep until noon, play video games, go to the gym, and spend her money on another woman. I emailed a lawyer, Amara said quietly. This morning, Ngozi's eyes widened. You did. I overheard Chitty last night, talking to his friends. About me. Amara's throat tightened. He called me his personal slave. Ngozi reached across and squeezed her hand. I'm done, Amara said. I just need to figure out how to do this without ending up on the street. Barrister Okonkwo is excellent. She helped me get everything I deserved. You're going to be okay. Amara nodded, but she wasn't sure she believed it. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Pharmacy shift, restaurant shift, cleaning shift. By the time Amara got home at midnight, every muscle in her body was screaming. The flat was dark except for the TV glow in the living room. Chitty had fallen asleep on the sofa. An empty suya wrapper and star beer bottles sat on the center table. Amara walked past him to the spare room. Her phone buzzed. An email from Barrister Okonkwo. I received your message. I have availability tomorrow at 10 a.m. We should talk as soon as possible. Amara looked at her schedule. She was supposed to work at the hospital from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., but she had to do this. She emailed back, I'll be there. Then she set her alarm for 3 a.m. and lay down fully clothed. She was too tired to change. Amara woke at 3 a.m. and called in sick to the hospital for the first time in 2 years. The guilt sat heavy in her stomach, but she pushed it down. She showered and dressed in her only good outfit, a navy blue Ankara dress and gelly she had worn to a wedding 3 years ago. She checked herself in the mirror. Dark circles under her eyes, but determination in her face. Chitty was still asleep when she left. Barrister Okonkwo's office was in a sleek building in Ikoyi. Amara sat in the waiting room, trying not to think about the hospital shift she had abandoned, the bills coming due, the debt that never shrank. Amara, a woman in her 40s, stepped into the waiting room. She had short natural hair and kind eyes. I'm Barrister Okonkwo. Come. In her office, Amara told her everything. The 4 jobs, the debts Chitty had created, the overheard conversation, the mistress, the money he had been stealing. Barrister Okonkwo listened, taking notes. When Amara finished, she set down her pen. First thing, she said, none of this is your fault. You understand? Amara nodded, though she wasn't sure she believed it. Second thing, you're in a better position than you think. Did Chitty tell you these were joint debts? He said we needed to pay them together, that we were a team. But did you sign anything? Credit applications? Loan documents? Amara thought back. No. He said he would handle the paperwork. Barrister Okonkwo smiled. Then legally, those debts are his, not yours. Especially gambling debts. If you didn't consent, you're not responsible. Really? Really? And if he's been taking money from joint accounts to support an affair, that's financial infidelity. We can use that. Divorce. The word hung in the air. Amara had been married for 7 years. She had promised forever, but forever couldn't include being someone's slave. What do I do now? Amara asked. Barrister Okonkwo pulled out a checklist. First, separate your finances. Open a new account in your name only. Start depositing your salary there. Don't tell Chitty. Won't he notice? Probably. But by then, you'll be ready. She continued. Second, gather evidence. Every text, every receipt, every bank statement. Document everything. I took photos last night. Credit card statements from his office. Good. Keep doing that. Be careful he doesn't catch you. What if he gets angry? Barrister Okonkwo's expression turned serious. Do you feel safe? Amara considered. Chitty had never hit her, never threatened her physically, but he had manipulated her, lied to her, used her. I don't know, she admitted. If you ever feel unsafe, you leave. You go to your mother's, a friend's house, anywhere. Your safety comes first. The meeting lasted an hour. When Amara left, she had a plan. Step-by-step instructions on how to reclaim her life. She sat on a Malu bus heading to the nearest bank. 20 minutes later, she had opened new accounts, checking and savings, in her name only. She transferred the 42,000 Nigerian nairas from the joint account into her new account. It wasn't much, but it was a start. 3 days later, Amara was cleaning Chitty's car. He had asked her to do it, said he would pay her 5,000 Nigerian nairas. 5,000 naira, from her own money, given back to her as payment for more work. But she said yes because she needed an excuse to search the car. It was Sunday afternoon. Chitty was at the gym. He went every day, spending 2 hours lifting weights, another hour networking in the steam room. Amara started with the trunk. Fast food wrappers, empty bottles, gym clothes that smelled rank. In the glove compartment, she found it. A phone, not Chitty's iPhone. An old Android tucked under insurance papers. She picked it up. No password. The screen lit up. She opened the messages. The most recent conversation was with Z. Z. Miss you already, baby. Chitty, miss you too. Can't wait for Friday. Z. What time can you get away? Chitty, noon. I'll tell her I have a job interview. Z. Faced with tears of joy, you're terrible. Where she believes you. Chitty, she always does. She's too tired to question anything. Z. Poor thing. Working all those jobs. Chitty, I know. But it keeps her busy. And it keeps money coming in. Z. You're going to hell. Chitty. Worth it if I get to see you. Amara scrolled up. Months of messages. They had been together for 2 years. She found photos. Chitty and Zainab at Radisson Blu. Chitty and Zainab at La Campagne Tropicana. Chitty and Zainab in hotel rooms. In some photos, Zainab wore jewelry. Expensive jewelry. The same jewelry from the receipts. Zainab was young, maybe 25. Light-skinned with long Brazilian hair and a bright smile. She looked happy. Like someone whose life was going exactly right. She had no idea she was dating a liar who funded their relationship with his wife's money. Amara took photos of everything. Then she put the phone back exactly where she found it and continued cleaning the car. By the time Chitty returned from the gym, the car looked brand new. Ah, this is clean, he said, inspecting it. Well done. He pulled out his wallet and handed her 1,000 Nigerian nairas notes. Amara took the money. Her money, returned to her like a tip. Thank you, she said. Amara sat in Barrister Okonkwo's office again, this time with her evidence organized in a folder. This is excellent, the lawyer said, flipping through photos. With this, we can prove financial infidelity, fraud, and misuse of marital funds. What happens next? We file for divorce. We request that all debts remain his responsibility. We ask for compensation for the money he stole, and we make sure you walk away clean. How long will it take? If he cooperates, 6 months. If he fights, maybe a year. But Amara, you will win. The evidence is too strong. That evening, Amara quit her restaurant job, then her cleaning job. She kept only the hospital and pharmacy positions. Her body felt lighter almost immediately. She could breathe again. When she got home, Chitty was making himself dinner, actually cooking for once, probably because she hadn't been there to do it. You're home early, he said. I quit 2 of my jobs. He froze. What? What? Because I was exhausted. But what about the bills? The debts. Your debts, Chitty. Not mine. His face changed. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I've been killing myself for 4 years while you sat at home and spent my money on your girlfriend. All color drained from his face. Amara. Don't. She held up her hand. I know everything. Zainab. The secret phone. The lies. All of it. It's not what you think. I think you used me. I think you manipulated me. I think you call me your slave. He stepped back like she had slapped him. I want a divorce, Amara said. You have 30 days to move out. This is my home too. No, it's not. Your name isn't on the lease. Mine is. I've been paying rent for 5 years. You've been paying nothing. Amara, please. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. It's over. She walked to the spare room, grabbed the small bag she had packed earlier, and left. She drove to her mother's house in Abaddon. It took 3 hours. When she arrived, her mother took one look at her face and pulled her into an embrace. "Come inside, my daughter," she said. "You are safe now." Amara started crying then. Not sad tears. Relief tears. She had done it. She had left. The divorce took 8 months. Chitty fought at first, claiming he deserved half of everything. But when Barrister Okonkwo presented the evidence, the statements, the texts, the photos, he backed down. The judge ruled quickly. Divorce granted. No alimony for Chitty. All debts remained his responsibility. Amara kept everything she had paid for. She sold the furniture from their flat and found a small one-bedroom apartment in Suralere. It was modest but clean, and it was hers. She also made a decision. She was going back to school. She enrolled in night classes at LUTH, working toward completing her medical degree. It would take years, but she had time now. She had energy now. She could do this. 1 year after leaving Chitty, Amara celebrated her birthday in a way she never had before. She took the whole day off. She slept until 8 a.m., luxury. She made pancakes. She went to the salon and got her hair done properly. She had lunch with her mother and sister at a nice restaurant in Victoria Island. That evening, she treated herself to a movie at the cinema. As she sat in the dark theater, eating popcorn and watching the screen, she realized something. She was happy. Not the fake happiness she had pretended to feel with Chitty. Real happiness. The kind that comes from knowing your worth. From choosing yourself. From being free. She thought about the woman she had been a year ago. Working 4 jobs. Exhausted. Broken. Being called a slave. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger. Someone who knew her value. Someone who would never accept less than she deserved. Amara had wanted revenge once. Had wanted Chitty to suffer the way she suffered. But this was better than revenge. This was victory. Not over Chitty. Over the life that tried to break her. She had survived. She had rebuilt. She had thrived. And that was worth more than anything. 2 years after leaving Chitty, Amara completed her medical degree. She walked across the stage at LUTH, accepted her diploma, and looked out at the audience. Her mother was crying. Her sister was cheering. Ngozi was beaming with pride. This was the moment she had postponed 7 years ago. The moment Chitty convinced her to sacrifice. The moment she thought she would never reach. But she had reached it. On her own terms. In her own time. She had done it. After graduation, her mother threw a party. Friends, family, colleagues, everyone who had supported her journey. "What's next?" someone asked. "I have interviews at 3 teaching hospitals," Amara said, "and 1 at a rehabilitation center. That's the one I really want." 2 weeks later, she accepted a position at the rehabilitation center as a junior doctor. Her first day, she met her patients. People recovering from accidents, from illness, from trauma. People who had been broken and were learning to be whole again. She understood them completely. Recovery isn't just about healing your body, she told them. It's about rebuilding your strength, your confidence, your belief that you can overcome hard things. Because you can. I know you can. She was good at her work. Her patients responded to her. They trusted her. They fought harder because she made them believe in themselves. In May, Amara bought a small house in a quiet part of Ikeja. 2 bedrooms, a little compound, and bright windows that let in morning light. She stood in the empty living room and thought about the flat she had shared with Chitty. How she had paid every bill while he lived free. This house was different. This house was hers alone. Bought with money she earned. Paid for with her own credit. No one could take it from her. 3 years after leaving Chitty, Amara ran into him at a pharmacy. He was behind the counter, wearing a staff uniform. He looked up when she approached and froze. "Amara," he said quietly. "Chitty." He processed her prescription in silence. His hand shook slightly. "How are you?" he asked, though he clearly didn't want to know. "I'm good. Really good. I'm a doctor now. I heard. That's great. What about you?" "Getting by. Working here. Try to pay down the debts." He paused. "It's going to take another 7 years." "I'm sorry to hear that." "No, you're not." Amara considered that. "You're right. I'm not." He looked at her for a long moment. "I was terrible to you. I know that now. I used you. Elite. And I'm sorry." 2 years ago, she would have needed this apology. Now it felt empty. Okay, she said. I accept your apology. Do you forgive me? Amara thought about that. Did she forgive him? I don't know, she said honestly. But I don't think about you anymore. You're just not part of my life. Chitty flinched. I guess I deserve that. Yes, you do. She took her medication and walked out. She didn't look back. That evening, she sat in her small garden, watching the sunset. The sky was painted orange and pink and purple. Beautiful. She thought about the woman she used to be. The woman who worked 4 jobs. The woman who believed she was responsible for someone else's mistakes. The woman who heard herself called a slave. That woman was gone. In her place was someone who knew her worth. Someone who had survived. Someone who had rebuilt. Someone who had thrived. Amara had wanted revenge once. But this life she had built was so much better than revenge. This was freedom. And freedom was worth everything.